The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers Cable or Rogers TV.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of At the Heart of Business. I'm your host, Judith Tate. At the Heart of Business is a conversation with women in business discussing their challenges and successes. My first guest today is Felicia Walsh, owner of Just Get Realty.
Hi.
Hi, Felicia.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. I love that name, Just Get Realty. So tell me a bit about Just Get Realty.
Yeah, so that's like my brand name, kind of like the hub of everything I'm doing. So I'm a real estate agent with Century 21, located in Durham Region, my office, but I do service clients within Durham Region and Greater Toronto Area. And the brand behind, like the mission behind my business really is educating my clients to empower them to make informed decisions. I think it's really important for me to bridge that gap between financial literacy and home ownership, so they can make better decisions for themselves and build wealth.
Yeah. Okay. That's beautiful. I love it. So what's that connection between financial literacy and home ownership? Because I don't think a lot of people make that connection.
Yeah. I mean, I find a lot of people, when you talk about real estate or owning a home or getting into real estate investing, one of the first things they say is, I could never afford to do that. And even if they can afford to do that, they don't know where to start. What does it look like to have that affordability? What do I need to get started? And so it's really about breaking it down and looking at your own financial situation. I always say real estate, it's not a one-size-fits-all situation. And you really have to strategize based on your personal financial goals and your life goals. So the market might be slowing down, or the interest rates might be going up, and we hear all these things in the media, but the right time to really buy is when you're ready to buy, or the right time to really sell is when you're ready to sell. And so I try to start with the budgeting of my clients and breaking down their financial goals and seeing how we can link those two together for home ownership.
I love that. So what is it that drove you to start this business? Like, what's your why?
Well, I mean, in a nutshell, my family, right?
Yeah.
I'm a mom of four, married, and it really stems back to my childhood. I grew up in a single-parent household. We bounced around rental to rental, and I didn't really have a strong grasp on financial literacy. I didn't understand debt or credit or how those things worked. And so I was really afraid of those things. Like, anytime someone said credit or credit card or loan, I was like, I want nothing to do with that, right up until my late 20s. Never had a credit card. And then something shifted when I had my first child. And I realized I want more for my children. I don't want them to start at ground zero like I did. I want them to have freedom of choice. I want to build wealth for my family. Like, I don't want them to have to work a specific job because they have to make ends meet, or, you know, take a specific course in school because they have to take that route. And so at the time, having my first child back in 2016, me and my husband started to talk more about real estate. I was still afraid of the whole concept. But over a period of 2 years, I started to do a lot of research on real estate investing and how it could benefit us. And that's when I started to take the real estate course, more for educational purposes. But along that journey for me getting my first home, I thought to myself, I could really add some value to this industry, to this business, and help others achieve these types of goals. So that's why I'm very rooted in educating my clients and answering the questions that they don't know to ask.
So as a part of the education, do you hold workshops? Do you do coaching? What does that look like in educating your clients?
So I do workshops and seminars. I do have a social media page where a lot of my content is educational content, and I do very comprehensive consultations. So whether or not you're ready to buy or sell or invest right now, I'm still open up my time, my calendar, to sit down and have these calls and conversations with people to help them strategize, because it's all about understanding where you are right now and where you need to be. And then again, linking those things together and helping you come out with like an action plan to get there.
Okay,
Yeah.
I love that. So what would your typical client look like, or who would they be?
Well, definitely work with a lot of families in the Durham region area. I work with investors as well, usually first-time investors, and looking at residential investment properties. So that's anything from 2 to 6 doors. So that could be like a duplex, renovating the basement to turn that into a rental property, and and then sellers as well. So
Okay,
yeah.
That's great. I love it. So when it comes to real estate, I'm also an investor as well. And one thing, like I wish I had this type of education many, many years ago, like right around the time I bought my first house,
Yeah.
because one of the best ways I think to get into real estate is through house hacking.
Yes.
So yeah, you buy you buy your first house, you rent out the basement or the main floor or whatever, and then you live in that house until you save up enough money to move out and buy another house. So is that how house hacking works?
Yeah, that's actually exactly what we did to
Yeah.
get our first home.
Good.
So we saved up. It was that's a whole other story of how we actually, like, we made a lot of sacrifices to get our first home.
Yeah.
But we found a home that it's a raised bungalow. And so we lived at the top. In the bottom, we basically gutted it, renovated it, and turned it into a legal basement apartment.
Yeah.
And after about a year, I would say 2 years, we were able, this was actually when the boom started for real estate. So
Okay.
2020, 2021, we were able to refinance the home, take out that equity, and then put it down on another property.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So for someone just looking, like a first-time home buyer looking to enter the market, how much money do they need, or is there a certain percentage of the value of the home that they need? Like, what does that look like?
Well, it really depends in the market. So typically, minimum down payment is 5%, but that's at a purchase price of $500,000. And then as you move up in value, you always take 5% in terms of down payment, 5% of the first 500,000, and then 10% of the amounts above that, up to a certain number. So it really, again, like, it always depends on your financial situation and what type of property you're getting into. Because if it's an investment property, you'll need a 20% down payment right off the bat.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Great. So how do you balance, because I know you have another business or group, Hey Mama, Hey Mama
Social Club.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you balance growing your family and growing your business and growing your group? How do you balance all of that?
I mean, well, interesting question, right? Because I don't really, from my perspective, it's almost like, does balance really exist? Can you
Yes.
really balance it all? I don't know. I don't feel like I can, but I try to do what I can. And at every point in the day, it's always a decision. Am I going to spend my time doing this, or am I going to spend my time doing this? And so mapping out a plan and being organized really helps with that. Like when I got into real estate, when we started planning to buy for our first house, I had one child. And when it really came down to crunch time to get the house and start saving, I had 2 children. And then, 5 years later, we have 4 children. And so
Wow.
it's like, as I was growing my business in real estate, and every time I got that news, you're having another child, I thought to myself, great, like, how am I going to manage this?
Yeah.
There was always like a little, just something in me that, I almost didn't believe in myself. Like, can I actually be a mom and be an entrepreneur? Because so many people tell you, well, it's going to be really hard. You're going to come across all these obstacles. And although that's true, I think it's still possible for women and mothers to build a business. And so I'm at a point right now, and this actually stems from starting my mom community, Hey Mama Social Club. During my last mat leave with my 4th, I stepped back from real estate a little bit, and I took some time to just lean into motherhood, pay attention to my kids, and get involved with that. But there was always something missing for me. Like, I need connection. I need to network. I need to be out there with people. And so I started meeting moms through different groups, different programs. And I thought to myself, more moms need this. We need that social interaction. We need to really focus on our social well-being. And so Hey Mama Social Club was born. And through that, I've learned to accept the stage I'm in as a mother, and I no longer hide from that. I no longer hide that from or separate that from my real estate business. It's now a part of it, and I know being a mother, it brings value to my clients. I'm able to help them and understand their needs better.
Oh, that's great. I love that. I love that you said that you took a step back from real estate because you felt that that's what you needed to do. And didn't you? Weren't you living in Costa Rica for a while?
Yeah, we decided to jump ship. So this time last year, we were in Costa Rica for 4 months.
Okay.
This time last year, it was amazing. We took the kids out of school, and it was actually, that was a great experience in itself. Just seeing how people in other countries, how they operate and what's important to them. And even just like the hustle over there, it's on a different level. And so I really came back with ideas and just a lot more motivation to.
Oh, that's good. I love it. That's really important. It's really good to see that. And that's just one of those things that real estate can provide for you, the opportunity to do things like that. Because not everyone can just pack up and leave for like 4 months. And that's great.
Awesome.
So what's the importance to you of building community and meaningful relationships?
Well, especially being, any entrepreneur, but in real estate business, I find for me, real estate is less about sales and more about relationship building. And making those connections and those long-term connections. And so it really all happened organically with my whole mom community, but I was making all these deep connections with different moms and also businesses within the community that collaborate with us on events. And then it kind of trickled into my real estate business because I become more of a person that people know, like, and trust. And I think everybody should start with community. It's not just about me placing someone in a home. Now I actually am involved in creating a community that they actually love and enjoy and that they can raise their family in. So,
that's really good. And in regards to building an authentic brand, what does that mean to you?
Like I kind of touched on it before where I felt, especially with social media, it's very hard to be on social media and human nature to kind of almost compare yourself sometimes to other people. And I don't know, your journey. You don't know my journey and where I'm coming from and how I got to where I am. And so I would find myself comparing myself to, people who've been in the business for a long time, young people, people without kids. And again, I had to step back. So I was a little ashamed of, oh my God, I'm a mom of 4. Like, can I really do this? Can I really be a real estate agent and have kids? And so when I let go of all that and just leaned into exactly who I am, you know what? My family's a part of my journey. My family's a part of my business. I was able to make stronger connections, and I felt like I was growing more in my business, just showing up as me. And if you take me, you take me, and if you don't, you don't. That's just how it is. You're going to attract your own audience, right? So
that's great. Thank you so much. You should be proud. Don't be ashamed. You should be proud. You've done so well, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. We'll be speaking with Gretchen Casey next.
This program is brought to you by Rogers Xfinity, connecting you to more of what you love. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
4 nations facing off.
For what? For friend.
And foe.
4 teammates.
Turned rivals. For the frozen ponds of Sweden.
And Scottsdale.
For still believing in miracles.
Lejonhall.
40 kronor.
For the Maple Leafs.
For the entire world to see.
4 nations facing off.
This is Rogers TV.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to At the Heart of Business. At the Heart of Business is a conversation with women in business discussing their challenges and successes. I'm your host, Judith Tate, and my next guest is Gretchen Casey, owner of Mortgages by Gretchen.
Hello.
Hi, Gretchen.
Hi, Judy.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. This is fun.
Yes, it is. We had you on the show, would have been like a while ago, probably in the early stages. So that was probably like 3 years ago or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a while. So welcome back.
Thank you.
Tell us about Mortgages by Gretchen. Yes.
Well, I am a mortgage broker, which means I can help people who need mortgage money to either buy, renew, or refinance a home. And I've been doing it for 20 years. And I really love helping people to both meet their goals to get the money they need for whatever purpose, as well as connect with them and get to know them a bit, and also kind of encourage them if they're having a challenge either in their life or through the process. It's fun to just do that.
Yeah, and you know, I know because you've been my broker forever. You do such an amazing job, and I'm so grateful for you.
Thank
and
you.
we've talked about this because I can do it. So I realized, you know, the value, or I see the value in what you do in helping people, and with all the different scenarios that you just described. So
thank you.
Thank you for being you. So what got you into doing mortgages? Because for me, it's not something that's easy, and there's so much that you have to know, including just keeping up with everything that's happening in the financial world. See, this is how much I know. I was like, all that stuff that you have to know. What made you get into that?
Well, getting into it was a fluke. My former husband was interested in getting into mortgages as a second kind of a part-time side business. And at the time, I had just been off from being home with my kids for 9 years and needed to get into something different. So I actually was going to be more of an assistant to him, and we both went to meet with a broker to talk about it. And I immediately got my license and started doing all aspects of the business. And he never actually even did get into mortgages. And it was just a coincidence that when I first started that it was a good fit. I'm detail oriented. I like to solve problems, put the pieces of the puzzle together, and love getting to know people, because whether it's helping them get money, or it's helping them solve their problem, or just supporting and encouraging them with whatever they're dealing with, because sometimes there's other stuff going on. It was a really good fit. I'm very detail-oriented and have an entrepreneurial spirit that I didn't even really know. So very self-motivated, so it all fit.
Yeah. So how long, if someone wanted to get into, become a mortgage broker, how long does that take, or what are the steps that they could take?
The process now is much different than it had been. At the time, it was in-person classes. Now you can do online classes, and they may or may not offer in person. There's a series of tests you take through that process, and you then at the end can get licensed. Once you're licensed, or when you're about to get licensed, you would talk to brokerages and find out which brokerage matches what you're looking for, and pick a brokerage to be part of, much like a real estate agent is part of a brokerage, unless they get their realtor broker license, they work with a brokerage. So you can do either way. If you want to just do the brokerage yourself, you can start your own brokerage.
Okay, so let's talk about the difference between a mortgage agent and a mortgage broker.
The difference is primarily your license. That's one of the differences. So if you do not have a broker license, there's certain aspects, like you wouldn't be necessarily growing have other people under you. Perhaps you could be an agent with a team. So there's kind of three categories. You're an agent with a team, or you're a broker. So it does have to do with how it's more of a business designation, as opposed to like as far as helping clients, I do the same thing as an agent that I would do as a broker. I just never chose to get my broker license just because I don't want to grow a team.
Okay. Great.
So.
Well, thanks for explaining that, because I've always wondered what's the difference. I guess the same thing with difference between a real estate agent and a broker. I guess it's the same.
Yeah, they kind of use sales representative if you're an
Yeah.
agent or broker.
Yeah.
Broker
Okay.
owner or whatever.
All right. So there's a lot of new rules around qualifying for a mortgage. Sorry. Can you go over some of those?
Yeah,
rules?
so one of the big changes, these are government rules that are applied to the mortgage situation. They're aimed to help more people be able to get into the housing market or stay in the housing market. So there's now ability to get a 30-year amortization if you are a first-time buyer. That means you've never owned, you haven't owned in the last 4 years, or they will allow if you're maybe newly separated, you can qualify with a 30-year versus a 25-year amortization for an insured mortgage, which means you have less than a 20% down payment. So what all of that, and that also applies to non-first-time buyers if they're buying new construction. To put it into what does that really mean? What it means is you could qualify for a larger mortgage with lower payments with this 30-year amortization. So it helps you if you only qualified, let's say you qualified for $800,000, now you could maybe qualify for $900,000 because home prices have been going up. So it helps you get in the market. Another change has been insured mortgages, which means you can put less than 20% down payment on the home, are now available up to a purchase price of $1.5 million. It used to be $1 million. So again, it's a similar, trying to help people who maybe don't have a big down payment to still get in the market, even if the price is now over $1 million. So that's another area. Also, the stress test rules, if you are up for renewal and you maybe want to look at leaving your current lender, moving to a different lender, you're rate shopping, you're looking at options, you can do that without having to qualify at the stress test, which means you qualify at the rate you're given, not the rate plus 2%. So it allows more competition and allows you to be able to rate shop and make choices at renewal.
Yeah.
And one more has to do with putting a second suite or a third or fourth suite into your home. You can do that and borrow extra funds, do a refinance in order to add that unit, get a renovation to your property if your property isn't already set up that way.
Okay. Wow, there's a lot of changes. See, that's why it's good to go to the expert who can help you navigate all of that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned separation. How do you help people going through a separation?
I love to help them, even if they're early in the process and they're a little overwhelmed, just to get an idea of what they will qualify for. Even if they don't even know yet, like how much are they going to get from maybe they're going to get some funds because to equalize the property ownership. So it could be just a theoretical situation. This is my income, these are my debts, this is some money I'm going to be getting from my separation. What do the numbers look like? Or maybe I'm not getting money, maybe I'm going to be paying child support. So helping through the process of, okay, this is what you're likely to qualify for. You now need to get your separation agreement because lenders need that in order to confirm your division of assets and whether or not you pay or receive support. And then re-helping as they're closer through the end of that process if they haven't already done that, and just helping them to know what to expect.
Okay, and then also first-time homebuyers, you mentioned them. So how specifically do you work with first-time homebuyers?
With them, I love doing like a screen share where I'm actually showing them the numbers in the application, because it's whether you qualify, how much you qualify for is largely dependent on your debt ratios, and explaining what that means and how it works is really important. Also helping them understand all the different steps that they're going to go through. Some people really like to know what to expect. So not only giving them maybe documentation or emails about the steps, but going through it with them. And some people want a lot of detail, which is great. I'm happy to supply that. Some people just tell me what's happening now, and we'll go through it as it comes. So helping them understand, helping them if they're going to deal with a bidding war, understanding what is the condition of financing you're going to put on an offer, because for a lot of people it's totally all new terminology, new concepts. Then there's others who are quite educated. They've gone online, they've talked to people, and they just want, let's get the best rate and the right lender and the right product. You know, do you need a line of credit? Those sorts of things. I love it. I love the teaching aspect and helping them feel less nervous because they don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. So as far as rates go, there's fixed and there's variable. Is there one that's better than the other for certain people, or do you recommend, you know, I think you should do fixed, or I think you should do variable, or do you leave that up to your client?
That's an educating thing as well. I let people know what the benefits are of both and the downsides of both. What is being said from economists and banks and forecasters of what are we going to see over the next year plus, which changes, and give them the tools to make the decision. With variable, there was the expectation that we're going to have large consistent decreases in 2025 of the prime rate, which it's the overnight rate, which affects the prime rate. So a lot of people are like, oh, good, then I should do variable. Now they're saying, yes, that's likely to happen, but not as fast, and it may go up in 2026. So I think with variable too, I just let people know, like, if you're going to be up at night worrying about what's going on with prime and what's going on with the announcement, and it's going to be a problem for you because you want security, stability, you want to know where things are going to be, you're probably better off with a fixed. However, if you're in a variable, you can lock in to a fix. So just try to give them all the information, and based on their responses, help guide them as best as possible. But I don't want to make a decision for anybody because I don't have a crystal ball, as they say.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense. Great.
Yeah.
So your work, it's very involved. It probably takes up a lot of mental power. How do you just find that balance and get time for yourself and decompress from your day?
Oh, that's a great question. It's not always easy. Sometimes I'm at night thinking about mortgages and deals and people and everything. I'm fairly consistent of the time of when I will work and when I will take my time off. I have a schedule. On the weekends, my favorite thing to do is just lay on the couch with something in the background. Might be a movie, might be a football game where I'm kind of watching, but I might be also reading, just kind of relaxing and not always being out and with people, because even though a lot of my work's online, I need to be, like you say, very mentally and very engaged. So I like to just kind of relax. I like to read, listen to things that are relaxing, sort of a form of meditation, but usually it's not total silence. But those are, and every morning, well, not every morning, Monday to Friday, I do a workout in the morning, and I listen to a lot of motivational or mind things, spiritual, that is really helpful to me.
Oh, that's great. And what words of advice do you have to anyone starting a business?
I think if you're, especially in something like mortgages where there's a lot of detail and things change, don't wait till you know everything, because you will never know everything. I learn every single day. So just get your basics going, and then you'll learn as you go, and have fun with it.
That's great. Thank you so much, Gretchen. This was great.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Yes, for sure. And thanks to everyone for watching. We'll see you next time on another episode of At the Heart of Business.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
Basta you.